One of the coolest things about being a Disney cast member, or even an employee at another theme park, is being able to create magical memories and moments with your guests. So how do you do that? And what kinds of moments can you create? One of the things I absolutely loved when I used to work at Disney in particular, but all three of the theme parks I was at, was being able to create magical memories and moments with the guests. The parks I worked at all very much encouraged that. In fact, Silver Dollar City's slogan was making memories worth repeating. Disney itself had a whole deal about magic moments. In fact, shortly after I started, they actually had a whole year-long campaign called the Year of a Million Dreams. And the whole point of it was to encourage the cast members to create all these special, magical, great memories and moments for the guests to be able to experience and enjoy. Things that would make them remember it forever. We were blessed to be both at the receiving end of it. My kids got to experience some things that most don't. Also to be part of the group that helped create those. So how did we do that? What were the limits on what we could do? And how often were we allowed to do it? There definitely were some limits. One of the first kind of unwritten rules about it is if somebody comes up to you and starts asking you to make a magical moment, you're probably not going to do it. You look for opportunities to make it a surprise, to make it special, not something that somebody was demanding. Now, there were times that if a guest had a problem or an issue, then you could do something like that to help make up for it and help correct it. But you were also looking for something that would be unexpected and beyond the norm. Every cast member had some sort of ability or power or authority to do it. Some had more than others. Guest relations, of course, was like the kings and queens of being able to make magic and could do all sorts of things that the rest of us couldn't. But each of us were able to do different things in different ways that other cast members might not. Something that almost any cast member could do, though, as an example, is if they saw a guest that dropped their food or spilled a drink or dumped their popcorn, maybe had their ice cream melt and fall on the ground, pretty much any cast member could immediately say, hang on just a second, let me take care of you, and go get a replacement for them absolutely free. That's kind of the most basic magic moment that you could do, and really anybody was authorized to do that. Every now and then I ran into a cast member at one of the places serving and I'd have to tell them, hey, look, they just spilled one, I need another drink for them. And you get usually it was a newer cast member going, well, I don't know if I could do that. I'm like, just give it to me so I can give it to them and I'll talk to your manager later. Okay. And of course, we always worked it out, not a problem. We actually had little coupons that some of us could carry around that if there was an issue, we could actually pull these little certificates out. We could fill out what it was and who we were and why we were giving it. And we could use that essentially. So a cashier, for example, could have a coupon to put in their drawer as a receipt of payment for whatever it was. So if you had a guest that spilled something on their shirt or tore their pants or had done something like that or lost a hat, you had a means to be able to replace that for them. But I can remember a couple times when people got things spilled all over their pants and just ick. And, okay, here, let me take you over to this shop and I'm going to talk to the keeper and we're going to find you some clothes and we're going to get you replacements so you're not having to walk around in that all day. I can actually remember one time leaving my photography spot behind for a little while and helping this family shop over Adventureland at one of the shops there and finding clothes for them and making sure it was all arranged. It was just neat to be able to say, hey, you've got a problem, let me help you and take care of you. That was one of the best kinds of magic that we could do. But it may be something even just small and simple. If you see a kid walking down the street and they're upset and they're crying and you may not have any idea what's wrong. But, my goodness, you see a kid crying at Disney and that just stinks. Who cries at Disney? Nobody. I would actually try to tell the kids, just kind of as a joke, hey, you, no crying allowed. This is Disney World. It's funny how often that would actually work and make them stop. If a kid was really upset over something, well, there were a couple different options I had. We carried stickers around. Stickers are all over the place. It was a quick, easy fix, and kids love Disney stickers. I would actually sometimes carry around pins, which I've talked about in some of the other videos. Those I had to pay for myself. Disney would provide the stickers free, but if I wanted to give out pins, I usually had to pay for those. So they were coming out of my pocket when I did that. But I love being able to carry around some of my extra trader pins and stuff to be able to give to kids. But as a photographer, there were also other things that only I could do, like the magic shot pictures. How many other people working in a store can somehow get a picture with Tinkerbell on their hands? They can't, but I could. And I could actually take a guest who is having a hard time and I could say, hey, you know what? Let's take a minute here. I'm going to do something really special for you. I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine, but you're not going to know who it is till later. You're going to have to check it out. And I would take a picture that would then show Mickey in it later, or Minnie, or Tinkerbell, or Stitch, or somebody else. Especially if I had a couple minutes to talk to the guests and find out who their favorite character was, I might be able to come up with something that could have that character in it. Those are a little easier to ask a photographer to do. If you ask a photographer if they can do any magic shots, that's kind of where you'll end up. But it was really fun to be able to do that for the guests that had no clue what you were doing. You're just taking a picture. And then, of course, you get the guests, oh, but I can take that on my picture. No, you can't. You don't have the Disney magic in your camera. I can remember I got to know the people who did the Family Fun Day parade pretty well and how they picked out the Grand Marshals. And that's the only parade I ever had any clue how they picked out the Grand Marshals. And part of that was because it was run a little bit differently. And so every now and then, I think it happened a grand total of 3 times, I ran into this incredible family, and one was just having a horrible day, and the other family was just incredibly sweet. And as I was sitting there talking to them, the people who were taking care of the Family Fun Day parade just happened to be walking by. Hey, come here. I got to introduce you to these people and ask a big favor of you. In both cases, we kind of set it up. Hey, okay, you see this friend of mine here? You're going to meet them down at the Castle Hub at this time. Make sure you're there early. We got something special for you. They didn't have any clue what it was. One of them, the family had they were just having a rough morning and things weren't going well. Managed to get them hooked up with this, and I got to walk down to the hub, happened to peek out of where I was supposed to be, just so I could see that they were set. And the biggest grins, oh my goodness, it was such a cool surprise for them. Mom, if I remember right, actually started crying because she was so surprised. Just a neat thing to be able to do because they weren't expecting it at all. There were some things that we really wanted to be able to do and we couldn't, and that really hurts sometimes. One of the sad things that does happen occasionally with PhotoPass is you have that rare occasional family that it seems like they got every lousy photographer and every bad moment and every glitch on the camera, and they end up with a whole bunch of crappy pictures. It was rare. It didn't happen very often, but it did occasionally happen. And then you're kind of looking at them going, oh, I wish I could do something and I wish I could take you out and meet these characters again, but we weren't able to do that. The best we could do would be able to take them back outside and take a picture or two right there and get them a couple, but that hurt when you saw something where they had taken all this time and effort and it just kind of got wasted and there just wasn't a whole lot else you could do to make up for it. I did have a couple families that sadly got stuck with something like that, and there just wasn't a whole lot there, but what I did do was I took 1 or 2 of the pictures that they had and basically tried to make it the best looking I could, and I just printed them a free copy and wrote it off. We weren't always allowed to do that, but in extreme cases where you're just looking at this family just really disappointed, you could do that. Now, that's not an excuse to go try to manipulate it and get a free picture. Doesn't mean they're going to give you one. It was just one of those moments where I was just so moved for this family that was genuinely saddened by what was going on that, okay, I can't do a lot, but here's what I can do to make up for it. There were all sorts of different ways of creating magic. One of the things that my son got to do, as an example, we were there on a Christmas Eve, of all things, and we were one of the very first ones in the park, and my son actually got to ring the bell at the fire station to help open it up. So there were a lot of special moments like that, and the Grand Marshals and the First Families, but every cast member there also looked for other ways that they could create magic. One of the things that was fun is some of the stores, the merchandise people during the day, when the stores are slow, would have little games and quizzes that the kids could play. Can you guess which character this is and what movie this character goes with, and fun little things like that, and the kids could have a lot of fun playing it. A lot of us had a lot of different Disney trivia memorized. I could use that as an excuse to kind of play with the kids a little bit. One of the things I loved as a photographer that I did have the freedom to do a lot of times was to be able to essentially do an extended photo session with the family. If I didn't have a line of guests behind me, And hey, you're wanting to get some pictures? Okay, we'll get our regular pictures, and then let's get a couple more pictures with just these people. And well, let's go over here and get a really nice picture. And this was especially nice at Epcot and occasionally at Magic Kingdom, where I was doing what was called a rover position. And it basically meant I got to kind of roam around and take pictures. And if I had a great family, man, I would just wander with them and get all sorts of stuff. It's so much fun to be able to do things like that. Hey, they feel like they've got their own private photographers that go along. That was a great way to be able to make a magical moment in memory with them. And I took a lot of those same kinds of things, brought them with me when I went to Silver Dollar City as well. And just loved the fact that when I got there, the guys on the train were really already kind of in that mindset to begin with. How can we make things magical and special? We look for special kids to be able to give the all aboard and let people onto the train. We love to be able to get kids to go up and meet the engineers and try to do what we can to get pictures and special moments and make things special with the kids. I love being able to interact with the guests as they were waiting for the train, and I actually had a couple little magic tricks that I would do sometimes. Just ways to try to make it more special, more fun, and more them. What was really kind of fun on the train was if I got to know a couple people really well before we left the station, and especially if there were people that I picked up that I could tease, then while I was doing my narration all the way around the tracks, I would actually bring them up a couple times and throw them in. I actually did it a couple times during the robbery show as well. You guys better be good, otherwise I'm going to have to sick them over there on you. And so we would have a lot of fun just creating special moments like that. It was easily one of the best parts of all of my theme park jobs, was trying to find ways to be able to make magic. How did you do it? Well, first off, you look for a family that was not expecting it. If a family was expecting it, that pretty much eliminated them from the category of getting it, just because it's not fun, it's not special. So if you're wanting magic to happen, don't expect it. We would want to avoid families that were thinking they deserved it or were entitled or were trying to manipulate the system. They'd be the first ones that we kind of just say, yeah, sorry, nope, not you. I'm going to treat you nice, I'm going to be friendly to you, but I'm not going to do something extra special because it's just not going to work well. You're not going to appreciate it for what it is. So we love to find those people that maybe needed a pick-me-up, that maybe were just really special, really fun, really helpful. If I saw a kid that was helping other kids have fun and things like that, that's the kind of thing that we like to look for and say, okay, who can we bless that would deserve it and it would mean a lot to? And then we would try to come up with something that would be unique for them. What can we do that would be neat? And we had options. I was actually reading a book from a lady who worked at Guest Relations and how they figured it out. If I remember right, they had 3 different keys for when they could work magic. When was it appropriate? And was it achievable? And I can't remember what the last one was. And whether we had it within our power to be able to do it. So I couldn't give somebody free tickets to the park, for example, because I didn't have that power. It wasn't achievable for me. If it was appropriate, then I would take them over to Guest Relations where they might be able to help them out in that way. What could I do, though, that would be appropriate for what they're doing, for what they're experiencing, whether it's a sticker, whether it's a pin, whether it's a new photo, whether it's a replacement item? What can I do that would be appropriate for the situation that they are having, or for who they are and what they've done? And do I have that authority? And if I don't, who can I contact that would have that authority? A good example of this is if we got wind that there was going to be a proposal. Sometimes with a proposal, we would have somebody come up and let one of the photographers know, hey, so-and-so was thinking about proposing over there at such and such time. And the more notice we had, the better it was. If you're going to propose at Disney World, ask the PhotoPass photographers to get in on it ahead of time. They'll love it. Trust me. They're not just going to shoot pictures. They're going to do what they can to help you out. If we heard ahead of time that it was going to happen at a certain location at a certain time, we made sure that we got a hold of our managers right away. Hey, boss, I just heard that we've got a proposal that's going to happen right over here, say at the Wishing Well at 1 o'clock. Can we get somebody there? And for something like that, man, we'd do everything we could to get somebody there and make sure. I got to be the lucky one on that a couple times. There were several times that I got to let them know and, hey, get somebody over there, and somebody else got to shoot it. That was great. Just get somebody there. And so then we would pull in other people to help. We'd let our managers know. The manager might let one of the entertainment people know to possibly get a character there. or merchandise there to bring something by, and maybe we'll have somebody else carry the ring. There were a number of different things that we could do. We couldn't promise anything at any given point, but if there were things that we were able to work out and make it available, we would do our best to do it. And that was always fun when able to be a part of that. In fact, that's some of the best things I love. I love watching the surprise reunions on YouTube because we got to help with things like that. I had one time that I had a family member tell me, hey, we've got this person who's going to come join us. They haven't seen them in a while. They're hiding up the street. Can you get us together for a group picture and let them sneak up on us? And I don't remember if this person was military or not, but it was a kick and a half to get this family together, and you get them all posed with the castle, and they're all happy, and they're there, and then, of course, somebody mentions, you know, it's too bad so-and-so isn't here. It's okay, just pretend that they're there in the picture with you. Meanwhile, they're sneaking up behind them and getting into the picture, and they don't even know it. And you go ahead and you shoot the pictures, you get your regular couple shots, and what I did this time was they snuck up right into the middle of the back of the picture. And so I said, okay, I want everybody turn towards the middle of the group and look towards the castle. And of course, right as they all turned, it was beautiful because they did it perfectly. They all turned about the same time and all started to look towards the middle, right where this person was, and then they all freaked out. Forget the castle. And so I got these great pictures of them yelling and screaming and hugging, and just a wonderful moment that I was able to help with just simply because they let me know ahead of time. That's some of the ways that we got to create magic, some of the how and the reasons and powers that we had to be able to do it. It was so much fun. And the one job I would have loved at Disney, I think sometimes, was what we called a magic maker. People who worked just going around creating magic. And yet that's actually what I did because that was part of my job as well. And that just made it so worth it and so much fun. Hope you enjoyed these stories and look back at how I used to create some magic and some of the other ways we did it. If you had magical moments for you at Silver Dollar City or Disney or any park, I would love to hear it. What did they do for you that was so special and magical? Please share it in the description below and leave your comments. If you haven't subscribed yet too, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell so you can get notified whenever I have a new video. If you want to know about my Reddit page, my merchandise, my Facebook page, check out the links in the description below. There's also a link to my Patreon page there too. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me. Their financial support helps me do so much more, improve equipment, and do so much. So thank you to my patrons. They actually even get sneak peeks on the videos a lot of times and all sorts of other perks. So if you want to know about Patreon, check it out below too. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. My poor daughter. No, I don't want to tell that story. She would kill me. Eee! Sorry, Amber. I can still remember actually leaving my phone. Forget that. I don't remember what I was talking about. Train of thought derailed. Crash and burn. Okay. Okay, my battery's about to die. So, we're going to switch batteries here. A good way to... A good... If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right there. If you'd like to see another great video of mine, there's a good one right there for you. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people and support me on Patreon, hit that link right there. Thanks so much.